This video started out as a day in the life vlog, but with being busy with everything going on, this turned into several days in the life. We have had extreme swings in weather, loss of basic necessities, an invasion of wildlife on top of a shortage of feed, as well as a visit from the National Guard. We had seen videos of people who live where it's super cold take boiling water and throw it in the air and it turns into snow. It usually doesn't get cold enough to do that here, but we tried it and it actually works. We started out with unusually low temperatures in the single digits. I know a lot of the country got cold, but it is different here. We were just 70 degrees a few days before, and none of the infrastructures are set up for those types of temperatures because it rarely happens. This year in particular, we have had a massive influx of goldfinches compared to previous years. Usually we have several dozen, and now we have several hundred. When you combine that with the cold temperatures, which always brings more birds, we are going through feed at a record rate. So far this month, we've been through well over 100 pounds of just sunflower seeds. They are going through it so quickly that we are having to fill the feeders 2 times a day, which we have never had to do before. Our water continues to decrease and is barely a trickle coming out. At this point, we are starting to get worried. We woke up this morning to a little bit more snow, but it's still really cold, and this is the warmest day for the next few days. We are completely out of sunflower seeds, and that's what they're wanting, so we ventured out. The roads weren't bad, and the ponds were really pretty because they were still frozen. The last time I went to town, they were low on feed, and when we got to town this time, there were no more 40-pound bags of sunflower seeds. I got 2 bags of 25 pounds of sunflower seeds, and there was only 2 left at the farm store. I asked at the register, and they said that was all the sunflower seeds they had, and all the rest were on back order. I went to Walmart, and they didn't have any. I guess we weren't the only ones getting hammered. Did y'all experience lots of birds in this cold, or find that it was hard to get feed? This day I had planned on filming and getting several videos done, but life had other plans and it all came unraveled. I did my normal morning routine, plus I needed to make tea. Also, Mary over at Mary Love Country Living made some deviled eggs and they look so good. I had been craving them for a while. At Christmas time, the editor said that I never make things for me, so I decided to make some and they were really good. I have been trying for a few weeks to nail down the Milo's tea recipe that I really like. Hopefully today is the day that I get it right. Next up, we needed to feed the birds. They are still devouring the feed. It is so much warmer today. Thirsty. When we came in from outside, we had no water. This usually isn't a problem, but with the unusually cold temperatures, we had drained the rain barrels so they wouldn't burst. Even with no running water, we still gotta eat, so we're gonna make my pretzel buns. These are a family favorite. These also are so easy to make and are so very good. They use basic ingredients except for the bread flour, and I have a video sharing how I make that myself using 2 ingredients as well as the pretzel bun recipe. I found this warming tray for $1 at the thrift store. I had one in my Amazon cart that was over $20, but I found this one and it works great to rise the dough as long as I put an oven mitt underneath it, and we save some money. After the bread has doubled, it's time to shape them and put them in the wash. I figured out a way to make pretzel buns without boiling water, and I like it so much better. It's safer and so easy. Now the buns rise one last time. Since we don't have running water and I still have more things I need the mixer for to make dinner, I gotta clean the bowl. This was not easy to do. I bake everything in my air fryer convection oven. I love it. It works so good and uses less electricity than a regular oven. One thing for sure to do with the buns is after a few minutes, put them on a cooling rack to finish cooling. If you leave them in the pans, they get soggy and nobody wants soggy buns. Next up, I'm making the filling for our pepper poppers. We created this recipe last year and it is a family favorite and a new staple that I make with the peppers from the garden. Before I continue on, Robert's gonna get the pork cooking for dinner. We love using the Instant Pot pressure cooker. It is so easy, it's almost like having someone cook for you. Now that the meat is cooking, we're going to be testing out different peppers we grew in the garden to see what we want to grow or possibly grow more of this year. The technique of this recipe is key, as well as seasoning all the breading. This took me a while to make sure I kept all the different peppers straight. It's usually much faster. I made too much filling, so I'm going to set more peppers out of the freezer tonight so I can make more poppers tomorrow. The little dog sat in the kitchen so long with me. He really liked the filling. He even begged at dinner, and he usually doesn't do that. Now on to the last coating and cleanup. I totally forgot to put a pan underneath, so I had a really big mess to clean up. Then I put the peppers in the freezer for a bit to help the coating set. I keep the peppers in the freezer while the oil is coming up to temperature. While that is going, we taste tested the tea and I think we did it. It is so very close. I am so happy to figure this out. We won't have to save this tea for special events anymore. Now the pork has finished, we put it in a pan, shred it and add a little juice to it, and it's that easy to make pork au jus. The oils come up to temperature and Robert's frying them for me, as well as trying to keep all the different peppers separate. This was harder than it looked. Once they cooled a bit, we taste tested them. Everyone agreed that the Yum Yums were the best, and the King Arthur was the least favorite, but still good. The other three were mostly a tie, so I guess we'll be growing them all. That's the way these things usually go. We end up liking multiple varieties of something, but that's okay. We like variety. After a long day, we are ready for dinner. Pork au jus sandwiches with pepper poppers. This was such a comforting meal on a stressful day. We still don't have water. Earlier, we went to try and find out more information on the situation. We were told the water should come back on in an hour or so. It in fact did not. We also learned that the wells were run dry and some people had been without water for days. The National Guard ended up showing up to help the situation by bringing water tankers. We didn't film any of that because, as you could imagine, there were a lot of upset people. I'm not going to be that person who films a bad situation to get views. We were hoping that the pipes had enough of suction that it pulled the water out of the pipes so nothing would freeze, because if not, we are going to have a mess if and when the water comes back on, because our temperatures are dipping into the single digits. So I am doing dishes the old-fashioned way, heating the water on the stove. It is crazy how much longer things take and how much harder our ancestors had it just to do simple things. It's also times like these when we don't have power, water, or internet that we realize how fragile our modern lives are. The suction was a blessing and the lines did not burst. A few days later, the town's prayers must have been heard because we got so much rain. The day before, I poured out the rain gauge at 1¼ inches. Then, less than 24 hours later, we had 5¼ inches in the rain gauge, giving us 6½ inches so far. It continued to rain and we ended up with a total of 8 inches over 3 days. This is only the second time we have ever gotten this much rain in a 24-hour period since we lived here. We went from the ground being frozen solid to a morass. Also, our property floods easily, and this is one of the many reasons that I love raised bed gardening. We had to go to town again to get more sunflower seeds, and it was super foggy. This is the foggiest we had ever drove through here. Thank y'all so much for listening to our chaotic vlog. If you made it this far, leave a deer or water emoji, and we'll know you are a true viewer. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye!